So we're going to recap just a little bit here. This is part 2 of Ray's story while he lived on the streets once he did leave home at a young age. So Ray, what can you tell us?
Alright,
Continuing on from the last video.
So I ended up leaving home because my old man was very violent with me. I won't go into the details, and my mother didn't understand me, so I said to him I wanted to leave home the nice way, and he said, if you leave home I'll chop your legs off with a chainsaw.
Wow.
So I thought that wasn't going to work, so I obviously thought, you know what, if I leave home I might as well just leave everything behind, what I owned, which wasn't much back in the day. I grabbed a couple of clothes, stuck them in my little bag, and off I trotted.
That sounds pretty harrowing, actually. Did you have a plan as to where you were going to live?
I didn't have a plan. I just thought, you know what, because of all the abuse and all the shit that was going on in the house, I thought I'll just grab my bag and sneak out of a night time, because I knew what he was like. He wasn't going to understand me one bit, so I just grabbed all my jocks and socks and chucked it in my little bag, and I pissed off. I got onto a train and I headed down to St Kilda. Now, don't forget, this is in the 70s. This was around when the red trains and the blue trains were happening. They were the real old cool looking trains, which don't exist anymore.
So did you manage to save some money up to plan
Nah,
this
I didn't
getaway?
I didn't because by that stage I'd already been drinking beer. Age 13, I used to sneak in and pinch his beer, so I got addicted to it.
That's no good. Did he ever know that you
He didn't know it was me, but he had a rough idea someone was pinching his beer.
It's amazing he didn't catch you out.
Well, if he caught me out, there would have been more
repercussions.
Exactly.
So you got onto the train and made a fast getaway, kicked up dust, left the House of Horrors. What happened then?
Well, I headed into the city thinking, where am I going to go? Where isn't there violence and shit? Where can I go that's peaceful, calmful? I know it sounds in a roundabout way, it's all mixed up. I headed into the city, and then some kids, because I was only 16, some kids were talking to me, and they said, come down to St Kilda. I said, what's down there? They said, oh, mate, there's heaps down there. Come on, let's go.
So you met these kids on the train, did you say?
Yeah, they were street kids as well. Lo and behold, I didn't really know because they didn't go into their story. They just said, come like sheep, you know, come with us.
And so what happened? You got off at St Kilda?
They said, well, catch the tram, you know, the old wooden trams back in those days, and there's a tram that's in Spencer Street. It takes you all the way down into St Kilda, into the main drag of St Kilda.
And so you get off at St Kilda?
We get off, and they said, oh, well, let's go get some beer. And I went, oh, no, here we go. Anyway, cut a long story short, they went and got some beers, and we ended up going down to the park across the road, right down near the beach.
Oh, yeah, near Luna Park?
No, not as far. We went to the Aborigine Park, and that's where we're all drinking down with the brothers down there.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't stay long there. We had a couple of beers there.
So did you have any warning signs going off in your head, and you just thought, I'll go with these guys anyway because I've got no chance of knowing what to do now? Or how did it happen? How was it working in your head?
Well, I had nowhere to sleep for starters, so I had to go and sleep on the beach or under a bridge somewhere.
And that's what you did, was it?
Yeah, but luckily, because when you mingle with people the same as you, that have got nowhere to live and no food, they showed me where to get blankets and where to go, which church to go for food, but you had to be there at a certain time.
Yeah.
They went their own way. Now, I want to go back a step. Back in the 70s, back in St Kilda, there was punks and skinheads hanging around. The skins didn't get along with punks. Now, the punks used to wear rings and
their mohawk hairdos.
Yeah, the punks used to have big hairdos and they wore army clothes.
Yep.
And the skins used to wear Doc Martens, army pants and shaved heads, and they used to wear pins through their mouths and
All the jewellery, yeah.
yeah, and they were two different. Back in the 70s when they were floating around, the punks were the punks and the skins were the skins.
So you through meeting these
Interesting people,
they guided you as to where you could get some blankets and food and all that for the first few weeks, or
there's a couple of places down St Kilda.
They're probably gone now.
No,
yeah.
they're still there.
Oh,
today.
they're still there. Have you ever gone back to revisit where you?
Yeah, I have.
And what was that? Was that a really horrible experience,
No,
or was
not
it?
really, not really. Oh, look, it was very interesting down St Kilda. I'll get back to when I met the punks and skins. I had a choice. Who do I join? Do I join the punks with the punk hairdo?
Yeah.
Because back then I had hair, believe it or not. Or do I go with the skins? Anyway, I started hanging around with the skinheads, and they're all over the place. There was some skinheads back then.
Yeah.
That were from Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, and they used to flock around there. So I decided to join with the punks, the skinheads, sorry. I get my story mixed up because of my ABI.
Well, it's a fair long time ago.
Anyway, one bloke put me under his arm and showed me the way. He took me to the Salvation Army and paid for my army pants and a couple of old Doc Marten boots.
Was this guy an older guy?
Yeah, he was. He was 6 years older than me. But I got on with him like a house on fire. He said, long as you don't do anything stupid and listen to what I tell you, you'll be all right.
So did you end up living with all these other people, or with this?
No. I still like drifted in and drifted out, living under bridges, living here, living it rough.
So you couldn't really find anywhere to nestle down and feel safe for a while.
There was no one back in my day. There was only one lady that used to look after us street kids back in the 70s. She was a big fat lady and she was in a wheelchair. She used to once a week come down. I don't know what organisation she was from, but she was a beautiful lady. She used to keep us street kids in line.
Fantastic.
She had a beautiful heart, this lady.
So, Ray, how long was it before you actually started to feel... Did you ever start to feel safe as time went by?
No, because of a night time down St Kilda, the action started. There was, I won't go into it, there was bashings, there was prostitutes, there was drug taking, there was all sorts. I'm going back when St Kilda, the main street of St Kilda, in the main street there was a chemist on the corner.
So the main street for people listening to this would be Fitzroy, wouldn't it?
Exactly. And I'm going to describe to you back in the 70s what Fitzroy Street looked like. There was on the corner, there was a chemist. A bit further down there was a telephone booths all in a row. Then you had your little fish and chip pizza shops. And then you had another couple of little takeaway food shops. And then you had your pinball machine arcade shops. And then it went on and on and on and on and on.
Just at that point, did you ever... There's a famous place called the Gatwick, and it's now being sold.
I didn't get into that because I didn't float my boat back then.
So you didn't attempt to knock on the door and ask for some help?
I didn't get involved in that. I stayed by myself.
Oh, okay.
Over night time, I found somewhere to sleep, whether it was a laneway or whether it was under a bridge or whether it was on the beach. And during the day, all us skinheads.
So what you're saying is you actually became a skinhead?
Yeah, I did. I shaved my head. I still got the holes. I got holes right through my ear here.
Yeah.
Where they pierced.
Did you wear a mohawk or anything like that?
No, I was a skinhead. You're talking about.
Oh,
punks.
sorry. Yes. Apologies for that.
Skins are skins and punks are punks. Yeah. We didn't get along.
Oh.
We used to do this to the punks.
Oh wow,
and
that sounds pretty ugly actually.
We tried not to.
Sounds pretty ugly.
It is. They run some of St Kilda back then, and our skins stayed one end of the street while they stayed another. And
okay. So
some nights, especially when there was alcohol involved, the skins and punks used to get it together and punch on. Don't ask me why they didn't get along, but they just didn't get along.
So how long did you remain within the St Kilda area?
A good 4 years.
So that's a fairly long time to get to see a lot of the action down there.
Yeah. We've seen prostitutes, we've seen drug taking, we've seen it all. You name it, we've seen it.
Did you befriend any of the prostitutes or the other characters down there?
Why not? Listen, they're all got a sad story too, you know. Just because they're doing prostitution or drug taking, they were a human being at one stage.
That's right.
You know, people mistake those people. All them people down there, they've come from someone's family.
That's
what
right.
I mean by that is, somewhere along the line, like myself, something's gone horribly wrong for them to end up where they end up. We should never ever judge a book by its cover. We should open the book up, read the book properly, and then judge.
That's so true.
It's so sad back then.
So, do you remember any particular event that happened while you were living in St Kilda on the streets that stuck out in your memory for all these years?
Yeah, we got invited. There was a punk and skinhead do upstairs in one of the pubs in the main drag of St Kilda. You mentioned this. What's the street?
That was Fitzroy Street.
Fitzroy Street. Down a bit further, there was a pub that was double-storied.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the big white pub down there.
The Esplanade.
I'm not talking about that. That's another pub where the punks and skins used to go on a Thursday, Friday and Saturday nights. Anyway, getting back to what I was talking about. This one particular night, it was just for the skins and we were heavy metaling upstairs. Lo and behold, the bouncers, we knew the bouncers too. Big Tony, he was a massive bouncer. Unfortunately, Big Tony died of cancer and he was a beautiful man. He had a beautiful heart. He used to pull me up and say, "Hey you, Ray, behave yourself tonight." And anyway, we went up this one particular night. We went up and somehow the punks got in there. I was standing there at the bar having a drink and next minute, because the music's going boom, 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 boom. Next minute, I felt blood running down my neck.
Oh.
One of the punks smashed a bottle over my head.
Oh my goodness.
He must have had it in his back in those days. You got a way of carrying stuff.
Yeah.
He's pulled a bottle out of his bag, smashed it over my head. Blood's gone everywhere. And then the bouncers come in. A big fight started, and then we all got dragged downstairs. I'll never forget
Police
that day.
involved at
Yeah,
all?
coppers, bouncers, blood and guts everywhere.
Oh, God.
They
Sounds
pulled
like an
out
action
knives
scene.
and started stabbing each other.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it was back in the 70s. It was pretty bad for that.
So do you remember what happened after that? You
Yeah,
escaped
well, we all got pushed out the front, and once they separated the skins from the punks, Tony, the big bouncer, everyone knows Tony. He pulled me aside and said, "Ray, you're bleeding bad, mate." Anyway, it cut a vein in the side of my neck.
Gee.
So I've got stitches. You can't see it now, but the back of my vein was cut.
Oh,
Anyway, I went to hospital and I never went back to that pub ever again.
I wouldn't either, quite frankly. Did you ever think of or contemplate using drugs yourself?
Yeah, listen, I'm going to be honest here, straightly honest, because people need to know. When it comes to shooting up in my veins, no. I can honestly look you in the eye and say no. I dibbled in chuff. That's smoking for people that don't know what that is. That's chuff in a bong.
Marijuana?
Marijuana. I didn't like that. I stuck to alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
I was always drunk down there.
Sounds like that would have been pretty good for you, because it
Well-
could have gotten really ugly.
Well, I used to drink big bottles of flagon. Big bottles, the flagons. And that was, I'm trying to think what that was. That was like wine.
Did you ever find yourself in a vulnerable, compromised position, like being woken up in a gutter or...
Oh yeah, I've been bashed. People, I've been in old houses where I'm minding my own business and I'm
You mean squatting?
squatting. Yeah, I've been sleeping and by the time I woke up it was too late. I ended up getting bashed and yeah. It's
sounds
not
terrible.
a pretty life when you're living on the streets.
Do you ever keep in contact? Have you ever remained friends with anyone that may have survived all those
No, I
horrible
haven't.
times on the street?
It's funny you ask me that because I've never met anyone that's lived down there ever since. I don't know what happened. They're either in jail for life or they're dead or I don't know where they are. That's a good question because I always wonder what happened to the punks and skinheads back in the 70s because that era is died. You don't see, well, I don't see too many punks and skinheads.
Yeah.
You know, back those days, they used to have that Esplanade pub.
Yeah.
And that's where all the punks and skinheads back in the 70s used to congregate. And it was, for people that don't know what punks and skinheads are, it's a real good eye-opener. You don't see too much of it now.
So we'll end this part 2 of your life on the streets in St Kilda, Ray, and we'll continue it at some other time. Thank you.